Welcome to my sci-fi review.
Time travel, educational programming, a classic.
Help me.
What? Actually, that's right. That's right, we're going to talk about the first Doctor Who. In fact, the first episode, An Unearthly Child. Now, this was the 60s, and the 60s was a time, frankly, of great fear, great barriers, but also great bravery and pretty much great intelligence. Kennedy kept us from being blown up during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were going out into space. We were learning that intelligence, imagination could do great things. In England itself, with its tradition and ideas that individuals with great abilities and genius could solve everything from space programs to medicine and bring England to the pinnacle of what the heck? No, wrong genre. No. Let's get to the future presentation, folks. No. The show had a lot of changes before it finally came onto the small screen. Basically, they started out with the idea of having a genius, an amateur inventor who invented a time machine, and went on from there. He was going to be kind of James Bondy with companions, but since it's going to be an educational show for kids, he ended up having a companion who was a relative, a granddaughter. Now, when the pilot first came out, it actually came out the day after the assassination of John F. Kennedy. It wasn't delayed as many people believed, but it did have a dent in its viewing numbers. Also, this episode they showed, this pilot, was actually the second one. The first one they made, they didn't like too much. There's a little dialogue changes. Susan, who's the granddaughter of the doctor, seemed a little too alien. They didn't think teenagers would actually really respond well. But in the end, while this first episode, this first storyline is somewhat weak, it did get a lot of people watching it. And, of course, that's enough people to hook them for when the next story came out, which was, of course, the Daleks. Which, of course, shot this television series from being the best thing in England to probably the best thing on the planet for a while. Let's talk about the characters. Now, first, obviously, the Doctor is probably the first person we should talk about. But actually, let's talk about Susan, because it is, after all, called An Unearthly Child. And she is really the center of the first episode. Let's take a look. The Doctor, in this time of the series, is self-centered, greedy, and shows little mercy towards people who get in his way. He kidnaps the teachers, he tries to kill a caveman, and he argues constantly that they really should leave. This is none of their business, let's get back to the TARDIS. It's the humanity of the humans that actually forces them to stay. They actually make decisions that, while humane, do get them trapped and in trouble. Let's watch.
I think most of this is the animal's blood.
Oh, good. There's a scar on the side of his head.
Well, we've lost our chance of getting away. Your flat must be littered with stray cats and dogs.
These are human beings, Ian.
Yes, I know.
What exactly do you think you're doing?
Have you got any antiseptic in the ship?
Yes, lots.
1 minute ago, we were trying desperately to get away from these savages.
All right, now we're helping them. You're a doctor, do something.
I'm not a doctor of medicine.
Grandfather, we can make friends with
Oh, don't be ridiculous, child.
Why? You treat everybody and everything as something less important than yourself.
You're trying to say that everything you do is reasonable, and everything I do is inhuman. Well, I'm afraid your judgment's at fault in this fight, not mine. Haven't you realized if these two people can follow these, or if any of these people can follow us, the whole tribe might descend upon us at any moment?
Barbara is the female companion, the history teacher. She's very intelligent, very brave, and very humane. In fact, this humanity will pop up many times later on. For example, when she tries to turn the Aztec culture away from sacrifice, human sacrifice. It's her who, while terrified of man the animals in the forest, insists they go back to help the caveman when he's attacked by the lion or the leopard or the jackal or the boogeyman or whatever came out of the bushes. It's
Quick, now's our chance. Let's get away. Run. Run away, ladies,
I don't care what they've done.
Barbara. Barbara, come on.
I think he's dead. There isn't
Barbara, for
any
heaven's
danger.
sake.
No.
Ian is the male companion, a chemistry teacher, or maybe organic chemistry teacher. He seems to know a little bit about wildlife and animals. He identifies the skull they find in this episode as maybe belonging to a horse. Of course, it could have been he used to live on a farm. He also has some military training and a strong sense of equality. He believes everybody should have a say. He really seems to be almost the force of civilization behind most of the companions, even though the doctor dressed up like a Victorian or Edwardian person. It's Ian who really, or Chesterton, or Chesterfield, depending on how much you want to script his last name, who really seems to bring a sense that all people are created equally, democracy, and so on and so forth. You might have picked it up in the Army, which is kind of weird because usually the Army isn't like that. But let's see some of the advice he gives to one of the cavemen.
Remember, Carole is not stronger than the whole tribe.
I don't think I could stress this enough. These are characters. I've been saying companion, but in fact, this is not just the doctor and companions. These are characters, 4 equal characters with their own ideas, their own relationships. The doctor and his granddaughter, the teachers. The granddaughter is the bridge between the two relationships here, the two sets. They interact with other people, they interact with the events, they have fear and drama and debates, and it's wonderful. This is how a story is supposed to be. Just like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where we get a lot of the humor from the characters interacting with each other, interacting with other events and other people. This will be lost. By the time the dialects show up, Susan will end up being a screaming Minnie who runs through the forest. By the time the end of the first season, the Doctor will have companions, no longer equal people who are characters. Every once in a while we'll get somebody who is strong, intelligent, smart, but usually the writers will write them out. You really won't see this level of interaction between characters until, well, 2005. And Torchwood. Now the setting. Well, there's 2 settings. There's the school in modern London, which I think is the East End, and, well, you know, modern London. I really don't think I have to explain that much. And then there's the Ice Age, which has one important point that is drilled into us throughout the entire story that we have to remember, and here it is!
The old men are talking against you, sir. They say it would be better for the stranger Carole to lead us.
Carole.
They say you sit all day rubbing your hands together while he brings us meat.
Without meat, we go hungry. Without fire, we die.
Old men see no further than tomorrow's meat. They will make Carole the leader. My father will give me to him.
Carole is no leader.
The leader is the one who makes fire.
Let us repeat this fact. I have fire. I am not a leader. Give me your women and your meat and your furs. And I want the space over there in the cave closest to the view. That's view. That's okay. Okay? This will run the politics. This will fuel the politics. This will fuel the anger, the interrelationships between the cavemen and women. Maybe I should say cave people. And it's very important because it's going to be one of the things I'm going to talk about when we get to the flaws. Ooh, big plot hole, huge plot hole. Try to save my truck here. Okay? Now we'll have intermission. I'll try to find something that has to do with fire.
Way down in old Virginia, 300 years ago, Captain John Smith and Pocahontas shot their meat and aged it slow. They smoked it and they spiced it too for flavor at its best. Genuine Smithville barbecue surpasses all the rest.
Yes, folks, it's 300 years of tradition and taste you savor when you ask for a Smithfield barbecue James River brand at our refreshment center. In each flavorful morsel of meat, you can smell the hickory, oak, and applewood and taste the rare herbs and spices required for its cure. Here is truly a fresh new taste from an ancient recipe.
So go for deep down flavor of the Smithfield country kind. Just step right up here, neighbor, find your taste and lose your mind. Yeah!
Ice Age man came from Africa. Homo sapiens were escaping basically what was a famine, a drought. Now, such things cause bottlenecks. From an evolutionary point of view, it means only the smartest, the most intelligent of those creatures are going to survive. They mixed with Neanderthals in the Middle East or the Near East, according to current theories, which probably either gave them a little more strength when it came to dealing with the cold weather climate, and maybe the ancestors of Neanderthals passed on some information, some skills to help them along the way. Now, of course, an ice age is a huge amount of time. We're talking about millions of years, and it's not always cold. Not everything's covered by glaciers. There's going to be warm periods. In fact, we're in an ice age. We're in a warm period right now. And even when glaciers don't cover the land, they do change the landscape considerably, causing drought, as in Africa, or at least changing the vegetation and animals that are available. England, of course, was changed multiple times. Well, let's talk a little more about the Ice Age from general to information focusing on England. Watch this.
The bone needle is probably the most important Ice Age tool, allowing for waterproof clothing. It allowed humans to live in areas where even Neanderthals couldn't live over a long period of time. This showed a lot of intelligence. Now, because of the glacier action, England a lot of times was covered by glaciers, and some areas which weren't covered were not capable of supporting life. So in fact, while many attempts were tried over the history to colonize it, the last ones to do so 12,000 years ago succeeded.
Now for a couple of fun film facts. Not only was Susan, the character who was a 15-year-old, being played by an actress who was 23 and had a daughter, they asked somebody very special to come in and do her hair for her. Do you remember this guy?
The shampoo cleanses away styling buildup. The conditioning finishing rinse leaves your hair radiant. New advanced salon formula.
Thank you, Bilal.
Because if you don't look good, we don't look good.
That's right. He was asked to come in to give her a futuristic hairdo. That's why she has kind of a bob that's kind of asymmetrical. To us, it looks actually almost conservative, but back then, when you compare it to the other hairdos, it looks somewhat alien. But of course, she's not an alien. Well, actually, she is an alien, but they didn't want her to look too alien. They had issues, I guess. Now you know the next part. Might as well get it over with.
The flaws. Oh, gee, who picked this picture?
When a doctor arrives in the Ice Age, you want him to go from the frying pan into the fire. You want a crisis. You want a climax, a problem he has to overcome with his companions. So you make a very dangerous situation. An Ice Age where the tribe is on the edge of extinction because the one person who knew how to make fire is dead. You kill him off. That's great. Perfect idea. Delivery. How do you do it? Oh, he goes into a cave with a torch and gets killed by a cave bear. Hey, that'd be ironic. That'd make the old woman very happy because she'd be able to prove fire's bad for you. And it would fit. It would work. But no, this is how they kill off the fire maker. Right here.
My father made fire.
They killed him for it. It is better that we live as we have always done.
Now this may sound like a nitpick, but I'm not attacking the science or the lack of prehistoric knowledge. I'm attacking this just one point that actually is a problem. Yes, they kill off the leader. It's great. You caused a crisis. But you killed him off by having the other people in the tribe kill him? But he's the leader because he can make fire. And they killed him because he can make fire? What? I need a face palm.
I give this movie a 9 out of 10.
I don't get it. Anyway, this gets a 9 because even with that plot hole, most of it's really good. It's a great starting story. The first episode explains the characters, the rest of the episode brings them together. There's a few things still wrong with it. The cave people are living in a cold climate and yet haven't invented, well, foot gear. But the part that I really like is when Ian's actually shown making fire. He does the drill method. You take a hard piece of wood, sharpen one end, take soft wood as a base, put a little hole in it, put the hard wood in there, get another piece of wood, tie the ends with string around the first piece so you get a drilling action. Use a rock to protect your hand. And they show him doing it. It's a little dark, but you can see it. It's actually how you make fire, and it'd probably be one of the many methods prehistoric man will use. Let's look at it.
Something? Yes, so can I. It's burning! It's burning!
Oh, it's a long way off yet.
Yeah, so how much will this cost? And the traps are humane? Cool. Hold on a second. I found out that I've been infested by hobbits, so I'm calling it exterminator. I'll give you the fan service for a few seconds. So what do? You capture them and you take them to wild and release them in the Shire or something like that? No, you put them in bags and you sit on them and turn them into jam. You guys aren't trolls, are you? Just asking.